Hello Pisces, it's Luke Vulgarakis from LV Life and welcome to your tarot reading for 2024. Now we're going to be looking at 3 cards just to summarise the transition between 23 and 24, and then we'll look at 12 cards, one for each month of the year of 24, and finally 3 more cards as a general overview summary of the reading. Now this is for anyone that has Pisces in Sun, Moon or Rising. So let's see what we've got for our first 3. Lovely. Let's begin here. We've got the Chariot card that's come out in reverse. So the Chariot is very much about finding the balance in life, finding the importance of both the darkness and the light. And that's what these 2 Sphinx characters here represent. One is dark, one is light. And then, of course, this is the Chariot that's then being carried forward by these figures. So it's very much about trying to find that balance. In this reverse position, I'm wondering if your 23 has been a little one-sided. Perhaps you haven't progressed or moved forward in the way that you may have hoped. Or perhaps you've been sitting either too much in the pessimistic or too much in the optimistic, but aren't actually finding that that's taking you anywhere. In fact, it may be kind of stunting your growth as such, because the pessimism is just important as the optimism. We learn our lessons in the darkness and we grow in the light. So we have to honor both in order to find that balance. So I'm just wondering if your 23 has not been as progressive, I think is the word, as you'd hoped for. I'm starting to just ponder whether you've been so focused. It could be the pessimistic or the optimistic, as I said, but I'm wondering if you've been too much in positive energy, like almost falsely in positive energy, trying to think positive all the time, to put a smile on your face, to have positive affirmations, to have your chin up. All of these things that we're kind of taught, particularly when we first discover things like spirituality or the law of attraction or whatever, we jump straight into this kind of gratitude journaling and positive thinking and reframing things. And that's all wonderful, but when you ignore the darkness, we don't learn or grow in any way, shape, or form. We have to have the optimistic with the pessimistic. So we need to harness that darkness and really do the work in the darkness. So I'm just wondering if you've been focusing too much on one side of that coin than the other, whereas it needs to be in balance. And then we move along to this King of Cups, again in reverse. Cups are, generally speaking, about relationships or emotions. I often find that in the reverse position it's more emotions related. And in the background there's kind of a little bit of turbulence in the sea, but also like there's a boat over here and I think a fish jumping out here. But also we need to think about the king actually as a throne. It's an authority figure. It's a place that you have inherited. I don't often think that the king necessarily earns the throne. I think the king often lands on the throne because it's his birthright. So yeah, when I pair that with that Chariot in reverse, and both being in reverse here, I just feel that you're not finding your throne. You're not landing in the place that you think you deserve to be. You're not landing in the place that you feel is your birthright, you feel is your purpose or your vision or your mission here in this lifetime. It's just not coming into fruition yet. That's what I'm sensing from 23. However, this is about the transition between 23 to 24, and I believe, and I'm going to talk to you about the next card in a minute, but you've been trying in 23 and it's not quite working out, but the important part is that you learn the lessons. Why isn't it working out? What is not happening for me yet? Why am I not landing where I want to land just yet? And I think it's because of this. I think in 24, this transition between 23 and 24, you are going to be stepping into it. This is the Page of Pentacles, and I kind of feel like the Page as a bit of an intern, someone that's kind of new and optimistic and fresh and ready to learn and ready to start making things happen. Um, and the Pentacles are very much about the physicality of the world. Things like money or careers or opportunities or anything more physical. Um, so I feel like it's happening, but it's only happening because you're recognizing that the way you've been trying to do it is a little bit false. Is a little bit, I don't know actually if false is the right word, but it's definitely not the whole picture. Like, as you've kind of been playing on one side of the coin, as I said earlier, and you've not actually acknowledged that there are two sides to it. So I feel like it's happening. You just need to tweak the way that you think and feel and do things because, like I say, if we sit in one side of that and not on both sides, then we're not going to achieve anything because there'll be no balance to carry us forward. So let's go for your 12 months. So here's January, February, March, April, May and June, July, August, September, October, November, December. All right. Let's have a look here. Just straighten these up a little bit. Okay, let's start with January. Bearing in mind the things we've just talked about, right? Here we have got the Nine of Swords again in reverse. And in fact, the first 3 months, January, February, and March, are all reversed. In this reversed card, although I've turned it upright so you can see, we have got 9 swords all hung up here. And then somebody sat in a bed, kind of with their head in their hands. They kind of look like they're weeping. When I see this, I feel that this isn't necessarily weeping from distress, but perhaps weeping from relief. I feel like these swords are hung up because the battles have already happened, so they're not active, but there are still things to learn from them. And I very much feel like this is in alignment with the first 3 cards that we just talked about. We still have a lot to learn before things start to come to completion. So 10 would be completion. This is the 9. So what this is saying is January is a time for you to reflect. It's time for you to pause from these battles or from these ambitions or whatever it is, and just take time to reflect. Give yourself a break. Feel the relief of being able to stop and just simply reflect and learn. Just really look back and learn at what's been going on for you and why. So yeah, it's very much a bit of a hibernation time, I suppose, in January. In February, we then have the Two of Wands. Wands are manifestation, creation, bringing things into fruition. And this guy also is holding the world in his hands, if you can see that. He's looking over all these different terrains in the background. There's land, there's sea, there are mountains, there are forests. So there's a lot going on here in terms of options and opportunities, but it's in this reverse position. I think that's asking you to really think about what it is that you want. And often the universe has a greater idea of what we want than we have. So don't limit yourself to this kind of narrow-minded tunnel vision mindset of I'm aiming to achieve this one thing and that's the only thing I want in the whole world and that's what I deserve. That's my throne that we kind of talked about with this King of Cups in reverse. Don't limit yourself to that. So as part of this pondering and kind of reflecting in January, allow that to feed you in February in terms of being more open to the universe having greater ideas than you do, being more open to there not just being one path for you, but being multiple paths for you to choose from, and you could be successful at any one of those. So yeah, it's very much about openness and not limiting yourself in February, but it's a mindset job. It's a change of mindset. It's a change of limited thinking. And then when we move along to March, we have the Justice card in reverse. And again, Justice, kind of the clues in the title, right? Perhaps you're waiting, and perhaps what we've just been talking about, you're waiting for this thing to come into fruition. You're waiting to receive what you deserve, or you believe that you deserve, right? You need to stop focusing on that. You may never get this thing. You may not. You may never get it, even if, bad things have happened to you in your life, or people have done some not very nice things to you, and you want them to have justice or comeuppance or karma or whatever it is that you believe. Maybe that might not happen. You might not ever get the answer or the result or the apology that you're looking for, right? So this is really about letting things go, and I think a lot of this first 3 months is letting go. I think your mindset is too fixed and rigid on this one thing or this one solution or this one outcome. But as I said many times, the universe has greater ideas than we do. So I think there's so much more waiting for you. I think you've just got a few battles of the mind to overcome to broaden your mind a little bit more, a bit more expansive thinking. Because the things that are truly meant for you will come, and they'll be way better than you can imagine. So yeah, there's a lot of introspective work to be done in the first 3 months. But then we get to April, and in April we have this Six of Pentacles, and we talked about balance with the reverse chariot, particularly from 23, and perhaps focusing too much on one side of the coin than the other. Here, this is about restoring that balance, but you can see this person is kind of cloaked in, nice clothes and has money or food and is able to give back to the needy here. This is very much about finding more material balance in the world, I would say. And it's not necessarily have to be given back to the needy. You can, it's a lovely thing to do. But it's more about finding this physical balance in the world. Perhaps you've been too much in the masculine energy in 2023, too focused, too driven, too led by the ego rather than led by the heart. And perhaps you can start, once you've had this kind of 3 months of this inner work and really realizing that it's not all about one thing, then maybe that's going to start to bring a little bit more harmony back into your life, a little bit more balance. And then perhaps you won't be so blinkered or focused on this one thing. Perhaps you can see your life more holistically, and really start restoring that balance for yourself back in your physical world. If you're feeling burnt out from trying to achieve what you wanted to achieve in 23, this is telling you to just restore that balance and the right stuff will happen. You don't need to burn yourself out. You don't need to go in headstrong. You don't need to have one vision. So yeah, it's really finding the balance back in April. And then in May, you have to be careful. You've got the cheeky devil. So this is the devil card. This is about temptation and being tempted back to old habits or old ways or old situations or circumstances. Often, when we're in crisis, we go back to old habits because that's what we would have learned in our early formative years. They'd be our comfort zone. They might not be healthy, but they may be all that we know. It's very easy to go back to old habits, old people, old situations that really don't serve us. But we just fall back into them because it's what we know as the norm. So it's really about being aware of that. When you see these characters here below the devil, the nudity represents exposure or being vulnerable. But you can also see these chains around their necks, but the chains aren't tight, they're loose. They can take them off at any time and they're attached to this door. But you just got to pull the chain off and run out the freaking door. Right? This is not about going back to old ways or old people or old circumstances. And I think particularly when you start to explore spiritual aspects or law of attraction, things like that, you're like, yes, this is it, and then you realize it's not working as quickly as you want or in the way that you want, and you start going, oh well, then it must all be rubbish, and that's that little devil temptation. It just means that you haven't mastered it yet. You haven't found the right way for you to do it. So don't get drawn back. Don't take steps backwards. It's a little warning for you there in May because you may be tempted to. And then in June, we get the Hierophant card. And this is about finding a leader or a belief system or something that you can really resonate with and honor. So this depicts, I guess, like a religious character and people bowing down to this religious character. And it's a 5. 5 can be a little bit disruptive. So I think there's a little warning there about being cautious of what you give all your energy to or your belief to. But I think definitely it's a review of belief in June. It's a review of where you've been in the past and what you believed in the past, what you've been learning on your journey now. And I feel like this is more about the solidifying of what you've learned and recognizing actually this feels right for me. This feels better than what I've been raised to believe. This feels much more in alignment. So I think there's a solidifying of your belief system in June, as long as you're not tempted backwards by that devil in May, right? So, yeah, just really be mindful around that time of where you see your energy going. And if it's slipping backwards, then you need to do your best to bring it forward again. And then when you move into July, I can't pick it up. There you go. We've got this 6 of Wands. I think once you've really solidified who you are and what you believe, people are going to start really resonating with you and uplifting you. Like you can see here, this person on this horse, they've got this wreath up on their wand, and then these people marching alongside. So this is very much about people being on board with you and supporting you and uplifting you. Perhaps you're finding your crowd. Perhaps now you've solidified your belief system or found a method that works for you. You're going to start finding other people that are into that as well. And you're going to really start to feel uplifted. So it's really positive energy. It's a bit of like finding your people energy. Even if they're people that already exist in your life, but they're just really uplifting you in a way they haven't before, or if it's a new crowd. But yeah, it's definitely about finding your people in July. And that leads us then on to August, which is even more so about solidifying your people. So these cups are about relationships. And as you can see, all of these cups have been stacked up here. These are all your good, solid, strong, core relationships in your life that make you feel safe, that make you feel protected. And the person in the picture is now walking away. They can turn their back on these cups and know that they're not being stabbed in the back, know that they're still being uplifted, looked after, supported, cheered from afar, all of those things, right? So this is about you solidifying your core group of people, understanding who's really got your back, and only pouring your energy into those people. They need to be your focus. It doesn't mean the other people can't remain in your lives, but you don't need to pour your energy into them. You can love, honor, and respect them without investing everything in them. This is about investing in the people that truly have your back. And then in September, we find the Empress. And the Empress is the divine feminine here, and she's kind of got her scepter and her crown, and she's sat on her throne that's kind of made herself, and then she's got this symbol of femininity down there. This is really about finding your place, your throne, the throne that you've made yourself, because actually this is just kind of made of cushions and quilts, and it's not a royal throne. It's a like super comfy, homemade, very feminine, kind of drapey, free flow, easy peasy throne that is just exactly where you need to be. So it is really about finding your place. But I think I mentioned this earlier. Perhaps you were in 23 working too much in the masculine energy of the go, 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 like the go getting and positive thinking and everything else, but the feminine is very different. It's more perceptive, it's more intuitive, it's more loving. Yeah, so I think that that's you finding your place in September. Whether you're male or female is irrelevant. It's about masculine and feminine energy, which we all are a balance of. And then we move to the Knight of Wands in reverse for comes after September, October. um, I kind of love this knight. This knight's got their armor on, but they've also got a fabulous cloak over the top. And in they go, ready to take on the world with their wands to create, to manifest. This is in reverse. I think this is about proceeding with caution. Like you're starting to really find yourself and your crowd and where you belong and who you are and what you believe. But it's okay not to share that with everyone. It's okay to use this as your secret superpower rather than being boastful or trying to invite everybody else along because you know it will help them, but it may not resonate for them. And some people might look at you like you're a bit odd or a bit silly for what you believe and what you feel, but the right people will understand you and will get you, and that's what's important. So it's like, don't go charging in trying to drag everybody else in on this with you. I've been guilty of that in the past as well. It's like practice a bit more reservation, keep your armor. Armor's important because it teaches, it's all, armor comes from stuff that we've learned. It comes from a place of protection and security and safety and not repeating things that we don't want to repeat in our lives. So it's okay to have armor, just whack a fabulous cloak over it and do your thing, right? But you don't need to drag everybody in with you. Just be cautious of who you're sharing with and making sure that you're just really focusing your energy on the people that absolutely get you. And then when we move into November, we've got the Star card, and in reverse again. So the Star represents rebirth. It's the card that comes after the Tower as the Tower falls. In its reverse position, and I think that this is quite relative to this Knight as well. The nudity again represents this fear of exposure, fear of vulnerability. And I think what it's saying, very much like we've just discussed, is this is going to be your rebirth. You're going to feel like absolute brand new you, but you do not need to shout it from the hilltops at this time. I think it might cause you more hassle than growth if you are too heavy with it. If you go in too, I don't know what the word is, too bolshy with other people about it, get a bit preachy perhaps. You know, really keep this stuff, this rebirth, your growth, your kind of new you. That's for you. That's for you to hold on to. That's for you, for your inner growth, your inner development, right? It's not for anybody else. Other people will see you and your energy raising and vibrating at this better level, and they'll want some of that, and then they'll ask you. And when they ask you, share away. But just don't force it down people's throats, is what I'd say. And then when we move into December, we've got this Five of Cups, and here we've kind of talked about this a little bit already. You've got some cups spilling over and some cups standing up. These are relationships. I think that as part of this growth journey, you're going to have to let a few people go. And again, it doesn't mean that you don't have to love, honor, and respect them. But perhaps given it's December, maybe they're not on your Christmas card list anymore. Or maybe you just don't pour your energy into them or worry about their energy on you. If they've got perceptions or opinions or views, that's okay, but you don't have to listen to that. You don't have to absorb that. You don't have to try and correct or fix any of that. So it's okay to let some relationships slide because you've got a couple of other relationships here stood up that are the worthy ones, that are the important ones. So I think that these last three, so we were talking October, November, December, are very much about being cautious about where you spread your energy. All right, let's see the general overview then. With these lot, excuse me, I keep hiccuping. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. First card, the Four of Pentacles. This is really about knowing what you've got, like recognizing that physically in the real world, you're good. Physically, you don't need to worry necessarily about money or your home or your job or whatever, and that's all fine. From a universal perspective, the universe is looking after you. But this is the worry, this is the holding on, like the fear energy. All your opportunities are sat right in the background there. There's this whole city of opportunities right behind you. Stop focusing on trying to control it and just allow it to happen, because physically you're fine, and from a universal perspective the universe has got you and all the opportunities are right there waiting for you. So stop trying to control it is what I would say, and I think that that was very relevant to what we talked about right at the beginning of this reading. The next is the High Priestess, which is finding the balance between the darkness and the light. And yes, we talked about that as well. So very much about, and this feminine energy, the moon here. So you've got a lot of this femininity coming through in your reading, very much finding that balance, um, focusing more, using the pessimistic, using the darkness, using the perception and intuition to give you lessons, to help guide you, to help learn, but not staying in it, but just using it to your benefit. And then we've got, what number is that? Sorry, the Seven of Wands, and that's really the kind of putting your stakes in the ground, really figuring out who you are. The Wands are the manifestation and creation, right? So you're really putting your stakes in the ground, really grounding yourself towards the end of the year, getting firm in who you are and what you know, and then connecting with the right people to make all of that happen. So yeah, I hope that that resonates. Please do let me know in the comments and by messaging me. I love to know all throughout the year what's going on for you. So I'll leave my information in the description of this video, and if you would like, I can do this as a personalised reading for you. So my offer at the moment is £24 for a 2024 reading, and I do this exact reading but personalised to you rather than generically for the sign. And also, if you are local at my Wellbeing Centre, the LV Life Wellbeing Centre in Fareham, on the 4th of February, I am offering a one-day workshop where we learn to read tarot in the way that I read it, which is through intuition and storytelling, rather than focusing on textbook meanings of things. So yeah, if you want those things, just give me a shout. We can do an online reading or a physical in-person reading in Fareham in my Wellbeing Centre. So take care, everyone. Have a wonderful 24, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye bye.